Part 51. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 502. I haven't had enough fun yet and don't want to come back. There's nothing you can do about me for the time being. Yoon Munan smiled slightly and glanced around subconsciously. When he didn't find the figure he wanted to see, he resumed his duties. When Ya looked calm, already gone, he sighed. After Lily's mission was completed this time, he couldn't help but follow Lily back. Unexpectedly, he was caught by Li Yangzi. He noticed Lily when she entered the mission. It's just that I didn't fully understand it until now. Li Yangzi really couldn't take him back by force at the moment. After a while, under Yoon Munan's lazy and indifferent smile, Li Yangzi frowned and took him away. Thinking of this emotionally disturbing smile, Li Yangzi moved his fingers slightly. Move. It might not be unreasonable for the elders to want to seal him in the past. Now when he saw a certain side of himself, Li Yangzi also felt an urge to hit someone in his heart. After a while, he suppressed it. At this time, Lily, who Yoon Munan said had left the starry sky, had entered the mission world. She seemed to be pushed by someone in a daze, and Lily suddenly woke up. Her eyes widened, and she realized that she was sitting on a large truck that seemed to be movable, and there was a pungent smell coming from all around. She had her hands around her knees. When she was awakened, she was sleeping with her face buried between her knees. She was about a year old. 18, wearing a black t-shirt that had turned white after washing, and a big-eyed boy with slightly curly hair was squatting in front of her and asked worriedly, "Sister, what should we do now?" Lily just opened her mouth. She almost couldn't hold back the coughing. The young man sighed and took out an old thermos cup and handed it to her hand. Lily felt very thirsty at this moment. She stuck out her tongue and licked the corner of her mouth, drinking continuously. After taking a few sips of water, she felt that her throat was no longer as dry and uncomfortable as before. She leaned back and her back reached the edge of the cold truck. Then he slowly calmed down. "Don't panic yet." Now that she woke up, Lily looked around. There were boxes of various sizes around her, which contained some messy props. They were piled everywhere now, and they could already be seen to be very old. The smell Lily smelled just now was the smell of sweat coming from these props. Why is there no chaos? Brother Lingfeng and sister Shuer have just left, and now there are only two of us left in the juggling troupe. The boy's fair face turned red at this moment, and he clenched his fists in excitement and shouted to Lily. He said something, but when he saw her pale expression, he still swallowed the last words, bit his lip, turned away and stopped talking. Lily didn't have time to coax him at the moment. She had just arrived and was not very familiar with the current situation, and she was deeply afraid that the young man who called her sister would see the difference between her and the original owner. Lily closed her eyes and pretended to be resting weakly, while she began to absorb the plot and the memory of the original owner. This time Lily entered a juggling class called Zayajiaban. The original owner was sold into this juggling class when she was 3 years old. She followed the people of Zayajiaban and traveled around the country to survive since she was a child. Naturally, she also lost herself. Her original name was changed to Zhao along with the leader of Zhao's class. Lily was the stage name given to her by the leader of Zhao's class later. After Zhao Bei was sold into the Zhao family class, she was forced to learn many acrobatics every day. At that time, there was no such thing as faking or appearing on TV. Everyone needed to rehearse their craft seriously. When they arrived at the place, they lowered the shed to the ground and started performing. Everything required showing off their true skills. Zhao Bei had to suffer a lot in learning these acrobatics when she was a child, leaving behind hidden scars all over her body. The leader of Zhao's class has a strict personality. When Zhao Bei was learning acrobatics, he was often beaten. From practicing on an empty stomach to practicing with a whip, Zhao Bei often got whipped. There is no such thing as human rights in this place. The leader of Zhao's class is God. Zhao Beihe and the other children were one of the properties he bought. In those days, girls were worthless objects, so when Zhao Beihe grew up after being sold, she never thought about looking for her biological parents. She practiced in the troupe every day in order to be able to eat. With enough food, she practiced those dangerous moves like her life, and gradually she became one of the pillars of the troupe. The class leader was no longer as cruel to her as before, but Zhao Beihe's weak and soft character was decided that when she became an adult, Zhao Beihe would look pure and beautiful, and her figure would be as thin as a willow due to years of practicing acrobatics. Even if she had an ignorant and introverted personality, she would easily attract the attention of others. With the rapid changes in the world, the leader of Zhao's class is slowly getting older. People in this era have thousands of novel programs to watch on TV, and acrobatics are slowly being eliminated. Acrobatics are no longer what they used to be. After being able to make money, even those who traveled around the country sometimes did not necessarily earn much. The people in the juggling troupe began to slowly withdraw from the Zhao family troupe. It was not until the death of the leader of the Zhao family troupe that they were still in the juggling troupe. The relatively famous Zhao Jiaban suddenly fell into decline. The people in the class gradually left, and only a few young people remained. These young people were all bought by the Zhao family class leader with money like Zhao Beihe, and most of them didn't know who their biological parents were. And had nowhere to go, so they had no choice but to stay in the juggling troupe. These people had practiced acrobatics since childhood. Once the leader of the Zhao family class passed away and there was no leader, the juggling troupe would naturally become a mess. At the end of the day, food and accommodation began to become a problem for everyone. At this time, Zhao Shuer and Zhao Lingfeng in the Zhao family group were not willing to wait to starve to death, so they began to go out and sponsor performances everywhere. However, at the beginning, because the people in the Zhao family group had no academic qualifications and did not know how to perform, therefore, there were not many jobs received. Until one time when the Zhao family's team went to Beijing, Zhao Shuer and Zhao Lingfeng took the Zhao family's team out to find a way to survive again. Zhao Beihe was spotted by a descendant of a powerful person in Beijing. He said that as long as she could stay with him for one night, he would sponsor the Zhao family class. Although Zhao Jiaban traveled around and performed as a performer, he had seen a lot of the world, but this was the first time for him to make such a straightforward request. Although Zhao Beihe was weak and introverted, when he heard such words, he was naturally resolute. She refused. At first, no one in the Zhao family class dared to force her. However, as soon as everyone in Zhao Bai's class became deprived of food and clothing, many of Zhao Bai's contemporaries began to feel uncomfortable. The class even began to there were voices hoping that Zhao Beihe would sacrifice himself to support the whole class. Zhao Beihe gritted his teeth and refused to agree. Naturally, there were many contradictions within the Zhao family team. Once the original leader Zhao passed away, the vaudeville team had already lost people's hearts. Dispersed. Now that something like this happened again, everyone dispersed after dividing some of the remaining things. Although it was a bit regretful that the descendant of the powerful man did not get Zhao Beihe, for such a young master, women were not a rare thing at all. If he was willing to hook his fingers, there would be many women to follow him. The descendant of the powerful man did not take Zhao Beihe as his wife. Lily took it to heart and quickly put the matter behind her. Zhao Beihe was finally assigned to Zhao Shuer, Zhao Lingfeng, and Zhao Jinying, the only son of the Zhao family's class teacher. Except for Zhao Jinying, Zhao Lingfeng, and Zhao Shuer both looked down upon Zhao Beihe and raised their noses and eyebrows at her everywhere. All blaming her for agreeing to the request of the powerful descendant. Now everyone in the Zhao family can live a popular life of drinking spicy food. Who would have lived such a precarious life? Zhao Beihe has a cowardly character. Whenever she hears such accusations, she silently endures them without daring to talk back. In addition to practicing hard in the troupe every day, She has to do a lot of work, but Zhao Shuer and Zhao Lingfen treat her more and more. They became more and more dissatisfied with each other. Later, when the two of them also had the idea of abandoning Zhao Beihe again, they somehow turned back after leaving for 2 days. When they came back from this trip, they did not mention anything about chasing away Lily Zhao again. In addition to leaving, he also returned a contract sponsorship. This contract was for a villa property in Beijing that had just been built. It was time to advertise and gain popularity, so the developer gave a total of 500,000 to several members of the Zhao family team and asked them to perform at the property in Beijing for half a year. 500,000 was an unexpected surprise for a few people. Zhao Beihe never doubted in his heart how such a business, which was considered a big deal for many famous performance teams, could fall into the unknown. In the hands of the troupe, she was just secretly happy that the troupe finally had a way out, and she no longer had to bear the resentful looks of her senior brothers and sisters. Although Zhao Beihe was actually a little scared of the word capital, but thinking of Zhao Shuer and others, she still gritting his teeth, he suppressed the fear in his heart and followed the convoy back to the familiar place of the imperial capital. When they arrived at the villa property, the stage had already been set up in that place. In the past, people in Zhao's class used to build their own sheds for performances. This was the first time for everyone to see such a gorgeous place. Before the performance, in addition to practice, she also went out with everyone to hand out orders every day. When the day of the performance came, the stage was crowded with people. Zhao Beihe was the first to perform. She performed high-altitude tightrope walking. This high-altitude tightrope walking was related to the 2 or 3 meter steel wire on TV was different. She walked directly on the 20-meter steel wire, and there was no protective rope on her body. Zhao Beihe had been practicing this project since she was a child, so she should have been very familiar with it, but she was not at all. He walked up without hesitation. This tightrope, which was very dangerous to many people, felt like walking on flat ground for Zhao Beihe, who had practiced on the tightrope since childhood and was very familiar with the body balancing technique. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly votes. Your support is my biggest motivation. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 503. When she reached the middle of the steel wire, the originally very strong steel wire suddenly made a breaking sound. Zhao Beihe broke out in a cold sweat at that time. Her body froze. Somehow, the steel wire was originally shaking because of her walking. It was because she could control the rhythm that the steel wire suddenly began to tremble slightly. The steel wire broke in mid-air and the sudden shaking of the steel wire made Zhao Beihe unable to stabilize her figure and fell directly from the steel wire. On the spot. The fall broke his ribs. In addition to her good luck this time, she also practiced tightrope walking since she was a child. Her experience of falling off the tightrope countless times allowed her to instinctively avoid further injuries. Apart from broken ribs, she had no other external injuries, so she raised half a month later, because there was a shortage of people in the troupe, she went back again. Zhao Beihe did not suspect that the accident on the wire was man-made at first. After all, there are risks in juggling. She had encountered many accidents when she was a child. She only thought that this time was an accident, but she did not expect to return to acrobatics. Accidents happened one after another after class. Once again, while walking on the tightrope, a small needle worn on the wire penetrated the sole of her foot. She was unable to steady her body due to the severe pain, and fell off the tightrope again. This time Zhao Beihe was not so lucky. She fell and suffered comminuted fractures of her right elbow and knee. Even after being cured, she could no longer do many difficult movements. She became a disabled person. What's more important was that she had suffered several consecutive when something went wrong, Zhao Shuer told her that the big benefactor behind the troupe was very dissatisfied and was no longer prepared to pay her medical expenses and wanted her to compensate for the losses. The 500,000 that everyone in the troupe received was because Zhao Beihe made several mistakes and failed to perform well, so naturally she didn't get a share. Just because they had grown up together, Zhao Shuer and others each donated 10,000 yuan to her. The 30,000 yuan was not even enough for medical expenses. After Zhao Beihe ran out of money, he was sadly hospitalized. She was kicked out. She grew up practicing acrobatics. She had no talent other than performing. The injuries to her knees and elbows left her with indelible scars, and she started to have scars when she walked from then on. Problem: she became a complete useless person. But the troupe did not give up on her just like that. Instead, she returned to the Zhao family's troupe, but this time she was no longer a mainstay. In addition to the troupe becoming famous because of her injury, the financial backers behind the scenes also added to their reputation. He cured some animals and formed a juggling and circus group, which became more powerful than ever. Lily Zhao, who can no longer perform, can only take care of some animals. Naturally, she could only be reduced to a handyman existence, but she did not complain. On the contrary, she was grateful that her family members in the troupe did not abandon her when she was desperate. She worked hard every day, fearing that she would be unable to do anything now. Everyone's hindrance. Zhao Shuer and others who were her contemporaries in the troupe have now become the boss and pillars of the troupe. Naturally, he no longer smiled at her as before, but instead treated her as the most despicable person. Zhao Beihe is often scolded, and has a cowardly and introverted personality. After being injured, she felt that she was a little inferior because of free food and drink in the troupe. Therefore, when Zhao Shuer and others scolded her, she had to endure it silently and took care of the animals in the circus. During the process, Zhao Beihe was not a real animal trainer, so he naturally suffered a lot of injuries. The most serious one was being scratched on the face by a monkey. The monkey's attack was not serious. If Zhao Lily hadn't escaped quickly, her eyeballs would have almost been caught at that time. Without the acrobatic skills that he relied on for survival, his body has been left with incurable injuries, and now his face is still stained. When Zhao Beihe's life is ruined, the time has finally come for the acrobatic troupe to cooperate with the big boss behind the scenes. Acrobatics. Thanks to this boss, the group spent half a year happily without having to travel around. Naturally, the big boss's house sold very well, so the big boss prepared to hold a celebration banquet. It was also the first time that Zhao Beihe saw the legendary The Boss is not the successful middle-aged man she imagined, but a young and beautiful woman. She is wearing fashionable clothes and standing on the stage with a confident smile. Her confidence and charm make people hide in the corner. Lily Zhao felt envious and inferior. At that moment, she felt like a gray mouse hiding in a mouse hole, and she couldn't help but feel ashamed. After the cocktail party, Zhao Beihe, who was timid and somewhat inferior, looked curiously at the houses that she could not afford in her life, but did not dare to be seen in her current appearance. She accidentally heard loud noises in the corner of the garden. The sound of the boss and Zhao Shuer talking. Zhao Beihe originally wanted to turn around and hide away when someone spoke, but she heard her name mentioned in the two people's words. Because she was curious about how the superior boss knew her, Zhao Lily stayed with some curiosity, but unexpectedly, she heard news that made her unable to calm down again. Her injury was not God's will, but man-made. This big boss was the fiancé of the descendant of a powerful man who wanted to name her to accompany her for a night. Zhao Beihe was unintentionally attracted by someone. Although she finally refused, the fiancé she was still filled with resentment, and she seemed to have found out something important, but she didn't tell Zhao Shuer about it, so she took Zhao Beihe as a thorn in her side and spent money to set up a plan with Zhao Shuer. Ruined Zhao Lily's life. The two accidents on the tightrope were not accidents, but people in the acrobatics class did it intentionally after receiving Zhao Shui's instructions. The purpose was to make Zhao Beihe become a disabled person with a disfigured face and body. The big boss was jealous of his. The fiancé has taken a fancy to Zhao Beihe's beauty, so naturally now he wants to find a way to destroy everything about her. After knowing the truth of the matter, Zhao Beihe was naturally shocked. She couldn't believe it at first. She grew up in an acrobatic troupe and had never experienced any intrigues. She couldn't believe that what she heard was true. She endured the excitement and anger in her heart and listened to all these words. After the big boss left, she went to find Zhao Shui to question. Zhao Shui categorically denied it at first, and refuted that she had listened to the rumors and slandered the people who had grown up with her, and accused Zhao Beihe of being ungrateful. After all, the acrobatic troupe took her in after she became a disabled person. After confusing right and wrong, Zhao Shui kicked Zhao Beihe out of the acrobatic troupe. When her friends who grew up together in the past knew about this incident, they all secretly scolded Lily Zhao for being nothing and thought she was ungrateful. Therefore, no one was willing to say a fair word for her. Zhao Lily was holding back a ball of anger in her heart. Although her character is cowardly and introverted, rabbits will bite people when they are anxious. No matter how weak and incompetent a person is when they are bullied to the point of desperation, they will find a way to resist. She thought of the physical pain she has suffered in the past 6 months and the mental pain she has suffered after being disabled and disfigured. Tortured, she began to want to seek justice for herself. But things have been going on for a long time, and it is so difficult to find out the truth now. She has no background in the imperial capital, and she is an orphan with nothing. What's more, the big boss and Zhao Shui are afraid that if she finds out something, it will affect others. Therefore, they naturally suppressed her vigorously. Zhao Beihe was penniless and wanted to sue the big boss for harming her, but she had no basis. She sued everywhere but had no way to redress her grievances, especially when she had no food. With her craftsmanship and no diploma, let alone seeking justice for herself, in the end it would be a problem for her to even survive. With no place to go and no money on hand, Zhao Beihe originally wanted to work and earn money to settle down in the imperial capital. When he was looking for ways to file a complaint, he seemed to be blocked by someone. Everything went wrong when he found a job. If she stayed in a certain place, she would be harassed by gangsters. Because of this, no one dared to hire Zhao Lily. In the end, she was forced to become a beggar wandering in the imperial capital. Zhao Shui, the friend who grew up with him in the past, stepped on him to get the upper hand. Now he fell in love with the female boss and now drove in and out of a spacious house. However, Zhao Beihe was beaten inexplicably again. When she was asked to get out of the imperial capital, her body, which had not healed well after being injured, was injured one after another. Poverty and hunger prevented her from surviving the winter of that year. It's just that Lily Zhao was very unwilling after her death. She wanted to seek justice for herself. She didn't understand why it was such a small matter at the beginning, but in the end it became a big deal because of the interference of the female boss. Why did the big shot in their eyes, a little ant-like person like her should be bullied casually? She also didn't understand why Zhao Shui, who had grown up with her, could bear to harm her like that. Zhao Beihe wanted to get justice, no matter how humble her background was. But even though she had not provoked anyone, the young female boss planned to make her desperate. She also wanted Zhao Shui to pay the price. She could climb up if she wanted to, but she could no longer step on her back. Climb up. When Lily finished receiving the plot, she let out a long breath. At this moment, she felt very depressed. Because Zhao Lily was timid and introverted, she had accumulated a lot of negative emotions in her heart since she was a child. Her tragic death in the end made her even more depressed. It made her feel very aggrieved, and she had no one to talk to. She had always been the silent one in the acrobatic troupe. She had no close friends. In the past, several girls from the acrobatic troupe often met for dinner together. During the chat, she sat silently, so there were a lot of things in her heart. As soon as Lily entered her body, she was almost overwhelmed by these negative emotions, feeling like crying and unwilling. Reverberated in Lily's heart, she simply hugged her legs, buried her face in her legs and cried happily. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly votes. Your support is my biggest motivation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 504. Sister, are you okay? Lily's sudden crying startled the boy who had just handed the cup. He was sitting at the other end of the truck with his back to the truck. Now Lily Lenhu started crying, which made him a little overwhelmed. This is Zhao Jinying, the only son of the leader of the Zhao family class. After his father passed away, he has been with Zhao Shuer and others. He was the orthodox heir with a unique position in the acrobatics team, and suddenly his status was directly affected by the death of the leader of the Zhao family class. After falling thousands of feet, the old people in the Zhao family class didn't look down on him at all. Therefore, after the class leader passed away, the Zhao family class had split up. Zhao Jinying naturally did not have the same glory as when his father was still alive. Like Zhao Beihe, he had fallen into such an embarrassing situation now. Except for inheriting a broken car and some props from his father, Zhao Jinying had nothing like Zhao Beihe. Even after Zhao Shuer later contacted the big boss behind the scenes and successfully prospered, even Zhao Jinying, the famous leader of the Zhao family's acrobatic class, none of them could be saved. Lily ignored him and just cried heartily. It felt like those things in Lily Zhao's heart that had been suppressed for a long time had shed most of her tears at any time, and then she felt relaxed and happy. Zhao Beihe was originally an orphan. After she was sold into an acrobatic class, no one cared about her or became friends with her. She kept her worries to herself. She never dared to cry out in pain when she was injured. She held back her tears whenever she felt. Therefore, this was the first time that Zhao Jinying saw Zhao Beihe crying since he was sensible. She was a little dumbfounded for a moment and couldn't react at all while sitting aside. "It's okay, is there any medicine?" After Lily cried, she wiped her tears with her sleeve, and her expression quickly calmed down. After the catharsis, she was naturally able to control this body much more easily than before. Zhao Jinying saw her crying for a while, then calmed down again after a while, and was a little unable to recover for a while. After a while, he shook his head. "No, we don't even have any money now, how can we have money to buy medicine?" When he said this, Zhao Jinying's face turned gloomy involuntarily. Half a day ago, Zhao Shuer and Zhao Lingfeng left angrily after failing to persuade Zhao Beihe to accept the son of a powerful person in the capital. Before leaving, it seemed that everyone in the Zhao family class was in the current situation because Zhao Beihe refused to sacrifice himself. Before Zhao Shuer left, he raised his nose and raised his eyebrows and ordered Zhao Lily around. Zhao Beihe really thought that everyone in the Zhao family class was the current situation has something to do with her. Zhao Shuer didn't know how to fight back when he bullied her. It was already snowing in the north in November. She was still running around trying to get sponsors to improve the lives of the people in the group. Zhao Beihe was not a good talker, so naturally she couldn't get the sponsors in the end. As a result, she ended up lying in the truck every day with a high fever. Zhao Shuer and Zhao Lingfeng already disliked her, and when Zhao Lily fell ill again, she was like a useless person to those two people. Therefore, after 2 days of discussion, the two people simply proposed to separate their families. Zhao Jinying was originally the only son of the class leader. At first, Class leader Zhao was willing to beat other people's children and force the children he bought to learn trades, but he was reluctant to let his only child suffer and suffer. Anyway, in class leader Zhao's mind, the Zhao family's classes will belong to his sons in the future. These people who have learned the crafts are also doing it for their own good. The Zhao family controls the world, and their precious son can count money just sitting down, so there is no need to sweat. Therefore, Zhao Jinying did not learn acrobatics well. This time Zhao Shuer and others wanted to separate their families. So he picked up some commonly used things, left behind Zhao Jinying and Zhao Beihe, two burdens, and left. What should we do now? Zhao Jinying has been well protected by her father since she was a child, and she has never tried to take the lead alone. Even though she knew that Zhao Beihe was a cowardly and introverted person in the past, she couldn't help but ask her at this moment. Lily narrowed her eyes. Narrowing his eyes, he stretched out his hand to rub the sore forehead. Don't worry, we will just find a venue to perform after I recover. In fact, there is nothing wrong with Zhao Beihe's own acrobatics. It's just that traditional things are difficult to practice nowadays. Everyone who practices acrobatics needs to cultivate and practice them from an early age. It takes a lot of time and material resources but cannot be seen in the fastest time. When profits are reduced, acrobatics are gradually replaced by more fancy and gorgeous magic performances, and naturally they do not have the same development prospects as before. What's more, in the early years, many households did not have TVs. Once an acrobatic troupe appeared anywhere, it would cause a certain sensation in almost the county. But now with the emergence of TV, many people just turn on the TV to watch the performance. Acrobatics was eliminated, resulting in the decline of the acrobatic industry in the past 2 years. Zhao Beihe, who was so capable, could not get ahead at all in the end, and she herself was not an eloquent person. She had been with the acrobatic troupe since she was a child. The isolated life prevented her from keeping up with the new era, so in the end she couldn't play with the rules of the new era. She was tricked by Zhao Shuer and died miserably. Is there any other venue where we can perform now? When Zhao Jinying heard Lily's words, not only was she not comforted, but she even scratched her head in despair. Sister Shuer and brother Lingfeng are gone now, there are only 2 of us left, how can we perform even if we find a venue? Although Zhao Jinying has not been able to pass the test since he was a child, class leader Zhao originally trained his son as his successor, so he naturally knows that there are necessary personnel in an acrobatics class. Zhao Jinying knows who should do what, and now there are only 2 people left. Even if Lily can perform alone, there are some old equipment on the truck now, but just installing these equipment cannot be done by 2 people. It requires the help of a group of people, and also controls the wires and high school fire rings. It was too busy for one person. The more Zhao Jinying thought about it, the more she felt that her future was hopeless. She curled her lips and sighed, it won't work. Why not? Lily licked her dry lips, thinking that in 2 months at most, Zhao Shuer and Zhao Lingfeng would probably get instructions from the big boss behind the scenes and come back with 500,000 yuan. When they came back when Zhao Beihe and Zhao Jinying were desperate, they were surprised, happy and moved when they saw the 2 people coming back with a large amount of money. No one suspected that Zhao Shuer had other purposes, so Zhao Beihe was the scheming one, didn't realize it until she died. This time Lily will make Zhao Shuer pay an equal price. She will make sure that even if they take 500,000 yuan, they will not be able to live a comfortable life. Zhao Jinying, who was driving the car, squatted in the truck at the back. The engine had already stopped in the front. It was extremely cold in the car. It was freezing and snowy outside. Lily was wearing a dirty floral jacket, and her hands and feet were shaking with the cold. She stood up while supporting the car, and subconsciously began to move her muscles. Methods are devised by people, and there is no perfect way. Zhao Jinying didn't believe what she said at all. When she heard what she said, he thought she was trying to comfort herself. He was so angry that he didn't know how to refute. He sighed and threw the old quilt aside into the car. After spreading it flat, he lay down, with half of the quilt wrapped as a blanket, one side covered, and he refused to make any more noise. He looked like a child. Lily thought that Zhao Jinying had never felt sorry for Zhao Beihe in the plot. At most, he didn't extend a helping hand to her later. This is human nature. No wonder after the death of class leader Zhao, she has also tasted the warmth and coldness of human relationships, let alone dealing with Zhao Shuer and Zhao Lingfeng. Zhao Jinying still doesn't know if he will actually get the $500,000 in the end. Lily sighed silently, and saw Zhao Jinying slowly fell asleep. Only then did she start practicing star training. Originally, Lily Zhao's body was suffering from a cold. Now Lily did not have time to wait for the cold to subside slowly. She also had no money to buy medicine, so she could only rely on practicing kung fu to recuperate her body and carefully induce the spiritual energy to enter her body. Lily felt that her body, which had been stiff and painful from the cold, began to warm up as the cold spiritual energy entered her body. Slowly, her hands and feet began to warm up. After completing a set of movements, her limbs and bones began to warm up. The truck was deserted. Zhao Jinying had fallen asleep and snored early. The sound of falling snow falling on the roof of the truck could be heard clearly. Lily took advantage of the dark to do another star exercise. She practiced the technique along with the 9-yang manual. Even if she didn't sleep all night, her energy was much better than when she first entered the mission. After completing 2 exercises, Lily gently opened the door at the back of the truck and jumped out of the car. When the door opened, Zhao Jinying, who was sleeping soundly in the carriage, muttered twice, and there was snow on the ground. A thick layer had been laid. When Lily jumped into the snowdrift, the cold snow quickly covered the insteps of her rubber shoes. She kicked them indifferently and looked around. The car was parked outside a farmland, and there were several small green buildings not far away. Because it was still early in the day, there were no vehicles passing by. However, the sound of gymnastics broadcasts could be faintly heard not far away, just because the distance is far away, so it's hard to hear clearly. Lily's heart moved, and she quickly closed the car door and prepared to look in the direction of the sound. She wasn't worried about the dilapidated truck, even if it was placed on the roadside. No one wanted it. Some ropes and wires used for acrobatics in it were of no use waiting for others to bring them. Zhao Shuer and others took away all the valuable ones when they left. There were only some rags left that might not even be appreciated by the scavengers. In addition, there was Zhao Jinying in the car. Even if the car was not locked, no one could drive it away. Lily left Zhao Jinying behind with confidence. In the car, we started running forward along this road. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 505. As expected, there was a wall surrounding the place about 800 meters away. At the moment, gymnastics music was playing inside. It was hard to hear it from a distance, but when Lily ran closer, she could clearly hear it. This was the music of the capital city. There is a 9-year compulsory school outside. Lily ran around the wall and found that the school occupied a large area. By now, the students inside should have been awakened by the bell to make the morning announcement. It was time for gymnastics, and the lights in the surrounding dormitory buildings were already on. It was a mess inside, and an idea came to Lily's mind. After standing on the road with my feet stomping for about half an hour, the sky gradually became brighter, and there were more and more people coming and going around. The school security room also turned on the lights, and the iron gate for entering and exiting the school was opened in the morning. Some students living nearby also began to enter the school carrying school bags. Lily easily entered the school among the students. After she randomly found a student and asked about the principal's office, she walked directly in that direction. Past. This school is not a key middle school, and today is not an important holiday. The door of the principal's office is open, and a middle-aged man sitting inside suddenly raised his head when Lily passed by. Lily nodded at him and smiled slightly. She stood at the door and said hello before introducing herself. "Hello, teacher, my surname is Zhao. I was originally studying art performance. I happened to pass by here with my brother and saw your school. I want to give a free performance at your school. I just do it for my hobbies and don't care about money. As long as the teacher can send a few students from the school to help me move the equipment and borrow a place in your school. Is that okay?" If Lily had said that she was part of an acrobatic troupe and wanted to perform for a fee, the principal would have kicked her out before she could finish her words, but now she said that she would not charge money and that it was just for fun. The performance didn't require any money from the school. It was just a matter of borrowing a place and sending a few students to help move the equipment. Although he didn't know Lily's origins, when the principal heard about such a good thing, a smile suddenly appeared on his face. "Come." After signaling Lily to come into the office for a detailed discussion, the principal almost agreed to perform in the school. Since Lily didn't charge money and it wasn't a business transaction, the principal didn't check Lily's origin and surname, just that the principal was afraid that Lily would regret it. Therefore, she finally made a request to sign a contract. Lily nodded and agreed. After writing down all the 10 items she wanted to perform and signing that she would not charge any fees, the principal sent her away with a smile on her face. Office. When she returned to the truck with such a simple contract, Zhao Jinying was already up. At this time, the door in the car was being pulled open with a clanking sound. When Lily went out in the morning, she locked the big iron door at the back of the truck. He couldn't open it from the inside. After Lily came back, she easily climbed up and opened the iron door. Zhao Jinying's face turned red from holding back, and his curly hair was messed up by him. At this moment, he glared at Lily bitterly. He glanced at her and didn't care to ask her where she had been in the morning. After shivering, she quickly jumped out of the car and ran to the grass chop next to her. It was obvious that he was panicking just now. Lily suppressed a smile, and Zhao Jinying was a little embarrassed to look at Lily's face when she came out from behind the grass, trembling. A little depressed again. "Sister, where did you go this morning?" "We are going to perform at the school in the afternoon," Lily said, holding up the contract in her hand. Zhao Jinying now also knew that the acrobatic team made an agreement with others to perform, unlike the older generation who had just agreed and tied up the shed. Cheng, now performances require a contract, signature, and fingerprints. When he heard that he could perform, his eyes lit up at first, and he said with some surprise, "Really? But we don't have enough manpower. Sister Shuer and brother Lingfeng are not here. When the school feels that the performance is not good, will it ask us to refund the money? I don't need them to be here. I can just perform by myself. I don't charge any money. How can I get a refund?" When she heard the names of Zhao Shuer and Zhao Shuer, Lily's originally smiling face suddenly turned gloomy. She put the contract in her hand into her pocket. When Zhao Jinying heard that they would not charge money, she felt as if someone had taken care of her. As if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him, he gritted his teeth and was speechless for a long time. Lily ignored him and agreed to perform now. Although she had taken over the body of the original owner, Lily still had to perform many acrobatic tasks. For the first time since then, she wanted to practice before the afternoon. It was always good to at least get familiar with it. Although she told Zhao Jinying that she would not charge money, Lily had never really thought about not charging her. Zhao Jinying followed Lily depressedly and watched her start to practice some simple gymnastics movements. She hesitated several times and hesitated to speak. Finally, when Lily ignored him, Zhao Jinying also began to get sulky and sat aside silently. It was definitely impossible to practice tightrope at the moment, so Lily had to find a rope and tie it between two big trees outside, and tried to jump up to find a sense of balance. She had practiced martial arts many times during the mission. The reason is that there is no fear of heights. Lily jumped down as long as she felt a little bit like the original owner. As expected, the school sent a group of male students over to help move the equipment at noon. When these students heard that there were no classes in the afternoon and there were free acrobatics to watch, they all looked happy. Although Zhao Jinying was still a little unhappy at this moment. I was happy, but I was not the one who thought of the performance, not to mention that Lily had already agreed, so I had no choice but to move the things together. With the voluntary help of the school students and some male teachers, the shed was built. She got up quickly. In less than 2 hours, a temporary acrobatic venue had been set up in the playground. After the appointed time, Lily changed into clothes that were convenient for performing and got on the stage before the performance started. A trip to practice on the tightrope. I wonder if it was because Zhao Beihe fell off the tightrope twice in the plot. When Beihe got on the tightrope again, her body was still a little scared. She forced herself to walk twice in a row before the instinct in her heart emerged. The fear was suppressed. When the students finished the previous class in the afternoon, many people on the playground moved their stools and got ready to watch the performance. In the past, although Zhao's class also performed in crowds, the size of the crowds was not large. Big. This school covers 9 years of compulsory education from primary school to junior high school. There are nearly 1,000 students, plus the teachers and family members of the school, etc. It is packed with people all around. Because Lily initially stated that it was only for performances. Because of the money she received, the school accepted her favor and specially equipped her with speakers this time. Zhao Jinying, who was in charge of announcing the curtain before the performance, was not very happy at first, but when she saw so many people, she became a little excited. After he fluently reported the tightrope walking event that Lily was going to perform, he was in a rare good mood and told a few witty jokes. This young man was handsome and cute. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone in the venue laughed in awe. A good start is half the success. When Lily stepped on the iron frame and climbed onto the wire bridge, many students saw that she was not even tied with a protective rope, and many of them covered their mouths and gasped. The principal sitting at the front stood up anxiously, obviously worried that something might happen to an otherwise free performance, but when Lily successfully passed the wire bridge, the audience suddenly burst into thunderous applause. Many students have seen magic shows, circus performances, etc. on TV programs, but this is still the first time to see them with their own eyes. It was still early when the 10 projects were finished, and many students looked at the stage eagerly and were unwilling to leave. By the end of the show, some people were begging for another performance. Zhao Jinying glanced at Lily with some embarrassment. Lily looked helpless and walked towards the principal. She had agreed with the school that she would only perform 10 items. Now that the 10 items have been performed, if anyone in the school, of course you can watch the show, but you will need to pay extra for each show. This is just like requesting songs. There is a free period in front of it, but once the free period has passed, if you still feel that you are not enjoying yourself, you will naturally have to spend money. The price Lily set was not high, and everyone in the school agreed without hesitation. In the end, not only Lily once again performed a thrilling air walk, but even Zhao Jinying also performed a wire tying project. His performance was not there is no standard or skill to speak of. He just used a brute force to break the thin steel wire that was originally tied to his body with a loud roar. In his last performance, I don't know if it was because of his good looks, but it attracted a group of girls. Sitting there and refusing to leave, when Lily followed the principal to the finance room to settle the bill, Zhao Jinying was still in the middle of the stage and refused to come out. When he came back after getting the 5,000 yuan he earned in school, some students around the school were already dismantling the acrobatic tent. Zhao Jinying was also counting money in the middle. At this time, he was not afraid of the cold in the cold weather. Standing there with his upper body covered with joy on his face, his eyes lit up when he saw Lily coming over, and he waved to her hurriedly, "Sister, I sold it for a lot of money." There was a steel wire on the ground next to him, and some parts of his body were strangled with red and purple. Lily nodded and motioned for Zhao Jinying to put on his clothes. Only then did she realize that he had just attracted the attention of many male classmates after performing a performance of breaking the steel wire. After the performance, I bought a lot of steel wire from him. At a rough count, it was nearly 500 yuan. This free performance earned the two of them more than 5,000 yuan. Lily also knew that the traditional acrobatic art was not completely dead, but it still lacks some promotion. As long as she continued on this path, there will definitely be no problem with food and drink. As long as the problems of food, clothing, housing, and transportation are solved first, it will not be a problem at all to deal with Zhao Shuer and the so-called big boss behind the scenes. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 506. After having the money, Lily took the 5,000 yuan and first bought gasoline to make the car run again, and then replaced all the props that could no longer be used with new ones. She asked Zhao Jinying to drive the car and use this method again. After half a month, not only were all the equipment in the car replaced with new ones, Lily also saved nearly 20,000 yuan, and the reputation of the Zhao Jiaban acrobatic troupe began to spread in the suburbs of the capital. The area slowly gained some fame and became louder. After wandering outside the city for half a month, no matter how beautiful the acrobatics were, after the fresh excitement, there were not as many people watching them for free as at the beginning. Lily drove the car into the city again. There were many famous people in the imperial capital. There are only a lot more people in colleges and universities than outside the city, but the colleges here are much more strictly controlled and it is not easy to get in. Lily thought of the scene in the plot where Zhao Shuer and the boss behind the scenes teamed up to trick Zhao Beihe. Although at the beginning the main purpose of this trap was to target the original owner, but in the end, the acrobatic troupe still attracted a lot of attention to the real estate developed by boss Mu Ho. In the end, not only the sales of houses there were much better, but also the acrobatic troupe. The reputation of the group also skyrocketed in the end. In the plot, only Zhao Beihe was unlucky. In the end, Zhao Shuer only betrayed a sister who grew up together as a child, and then got a chance to become famous, and the big boss was even more beautiful. Not only did she get rid of a thorn in her side with a small amount of money, but she ended up not losing money at all. It was equivalent to the fact that the 500,000 yuan not only made her angry, but also gave her a free advertisement for her real estate, which she earned. Bowl full. This time, Lily was not prepared to give up this advantage to Zhao Shuer and the big boss behind the scenes. Even if she didn't make money, she was not prepared to give up this opportunity. The Zhao family class wants to be famous. But he didn't become famous in Zhao Shuer's hands. It's still early now. After all, there are only a few people who build houses on land, and the real estate market is not as hot as it is later in the plot. With the convenience of knowing the plot, it is not difficult for Beihe to find a developer with outstanding status and background, but the difficulty is how to follow him. Such a character just comes next. Fortunately, Lily was not an introverted and cowardly person like the original owner. After she chose a target person, she rented a house in the imperial capital and lived in it. Since she still had 20,000 yuan on hand, she didn't have to worry about food and drink for a while. Lily and Li Jinying stayed at the place where the target person might appear. The target person Lily selected this time was originally from the military, and his parents all had outstanding positions in the military. This person was not the eldest son. There was no need to inherit the family business, so he simply partnered with others to develop land and start a real estate business. For Lily, Such a target person didn't care about money because of his background. Once she got in touch with him, it's not hard for a circus to stay afloat. Compared with some rigid and stubborn businessmen, such young people are very competitive. Easier to persuade. Most importantly, the real estate company run by this target person and the boss behind the scenes in the plot has a competitive and hostile relationship. With the huge difference in family status between the two parties, neither one can do anything to the other. If Zhao Shuai, if he really gets involved with the big boss behind the scenes, he will try to plot against him later. If he gets involved with this target person, no matter whether he knew him before or not, given the young man's youthful and energetic temper, he will stand up for himself, and then the big boss behind the scenes will have to pay a price even if he wants to settle the matter. In the plot, Lily Chu, who was cheated by Zhao Beihe, never thought of relying on this target person to help her get revenge. She just wanted to use this target person to disgust Zhao Shuai. This time, she wanted Zhao Shuai to be like Zhao Beihe in the plot. There is no way to tell the pain, and there is no place to complain if you have grievances. After squatting for several days in a row, the hard work paid off. Lily finally waited for the target person. As Lily guessed, the target person was somewhat interested in acrobatics. Lily said that he was willing to develop it himself. When performing on the site, the young man readily agreed to Lily's request, and before Lily mentioned the money, he had someone take out a check for 30,000 yuan. After the man's car drove away, Zhao Jinying laughed a little silly. "Sister, I didn't expect it to be so simple. This gentleman came up with 30,000 yuan so easily. This was just a person. It's just a deposit." The young man said when he left just now that if the acrobatic troupe is useful and he can make an advertisement by then, he will give him additional money. Lily thought of the people who left Zhao's class before and curled her lips. First call back the people from Zhao's class who left, Jinying. This is the acrobatics class that the class leader left behind. It didn't matter if we didn't have money before, but now we have money. It's always good if we can recruit everyone back. In the plot, Zhao Shuai, after receiving the support from the big boss behind the scenes, called back all the people in the Zhao family class. In the end, she took the money from betraying Zhao Lily and became the person who saved the entire Zhao family class. Many people who were originally she thought that after leaving Zhejiaban, only the people who worked in the fields would be grateful to her, and in the end they worked desperately for her. Zhao Shuai easily obtained the entire Zhejiaban, and in exchange for her good reputation and prestige, Zhao Shuai finally relying on these people, he became the new leader of the Zhao family class and became famous in Kyoto. Before Zhao Beihe died, Zhao Shuai had already established a traditional acrobatics guild with the help of the boss behind the scenes. He became the president of it, with unlimited glory. Although Lily doesn't care about those fame and prestige, she can't let Zhao Shuai get it again, not to mention that Zhao Shuai should be dealing with the big boss behind the scenes at this time. Although Lily knows that these two people are here for her, but Zhao Shuai was already ambitious. If Lily wanted to cut off her escape route, she would never leave her a chance. Zhao Jinying didn't think about it that much. His eyes lit up when he heard Lily asking him to bring back the people from the Zhao family class. After his father passed away, the people in the Zhao family class left one after another because they were leaderless. Although there is a banquet in the world, Zhao Jinying was the most helpless about this situation. He was originally going to take over the Zhao family class in the future, but it was a pity that his father passed away. The team collapsed. In fact, he wanted the Zhao family class to reunite more than anyone else. It not only represented his past glory, but also represented the name of the Zhao family and one of his identities. Therefore, as soon as Lily finished speaking, Zhao Jinying nodded hurriedly. Everyone in Zhao's class left their numbers after they left. It had only been less than a year since class leader Zhao passed away, so some numbers could still be used to contact people. Zhao Jinying called each other and contacted most of the people in the past. When they heard that the Zhao family class now had money and wanted to reorganize, many people happily agreed to come. In less than half a month, they left the Zhao family class. The people from the class came back one after another, but this time when this group of people came back, they were no longer led by Zhao Shuer, but with Lily, who could now regroup them, as the leader. Many people began to train consciously. Some people have become rusty in their skills after leaving Zhao's class for a few months. Now that the team has been dispersed and reorganized, everyone cherishes this opportunity, especially those who have returned to their hometowns. After discovering that he had no other specialties except acrobatics, he desperately hoped that the Zhao family class could be reorganized. After all, if given the choice, no one would be willing to abandon what they were good at and start farming instead. Under such circumstances, the former members of the Zhao family class trained very hard. During the first performance, the boss Lily contacted not only had someone specially free up a large performance venue for the acrobatic troupe, but also used the skills in his own hands. The powerful people invited reporters and some media to make this performance of the Zhao family acrobatic class a big hit, making the acrobatic team famous in the imperial capital even before the performance started. This performance was watched by Lily herself. Naturally, no accidents occurred, and the performance was very successful, which surprised some media who have been accustomed to watching Western magic in the past 2 years. Compared with magic in Western countries, traditional Chinese acrobatics still have its own unique charm. Some projects such as swallowing swords and breathing fire have become hot topics recently. The Zhao family acrobatic class has become completely popular, and the success of the acrobatic team is naturally also the boss behind it was naturally very satisfied with the popularity of real estate, so he officially signed the acrobatic team and promised to sponsor them for 1 year, and the price increased more than 20 times from the original 30,000 yuan. After this incident, and with such a sum of money, the people in the Zhao family class were naturally even more devoted to Lily. Although no one has said who is in charge of the Zhao family class, in the minds of everyone in the Zhao family class, Lily is naturally the well-deserved new class leader. Even if no one directly says this clearly, everyone knows this fact. Half a month later, it will be the first day that the house under the name of the boss, who is currently signed by Zhao Jiaban, will start selling. The young boss attaches great importance to his first business and wants to get a good start, so he specially sent someone here. Lily was told to ask the people in the Zhao family class to perform well on the opening day of the new house in order to attract more customers. In the plot, this day is also the day when the property under the name of the mysterious female boss behind the scenes goes on sale. At that time, Zhao Shuer used the incident of Zhao Beihe falling from the wire to make a lot of talk. During that time, everyone gathered around the behind the scenes. Things are swirling around the female boss and the Zhao family class. In the plot, few people pay attention to the performance of the real estate property owned by this second-generation military man. To be continued. P.S. First update. Try to update 3 times today. If I can't make it 3 times, I'll keep it for now and make up for it tomorrow. Don't think that I'm going on a happy date because I'm miserable, because right now I might be on my way back to my hometown to give out red envelopes during the crowded spring festival travel season. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 507. Naturally, Beihe will not let what happened in the plot happen again this time. After she agreed, the people in the Zhao family class began to practice hard every day. Now the Zhao family class has its own independent place in Beijing for the time being. Although Lily is not the official class leader now, her status in everyone's minds is different. Naturally, she has her own place to practice alone. For more than 2 months, She has been using physical training skills to cooperate with Ju. By practicing the Yang Zhen Sutra, not only have some of the old injuries in the body of the original owner that were caused by excessive exercise in the past been healed long ago, but now that the body has internal strength, it becomes easier to do many of the movements that the original owner found difficult. It was much easier before. After Lily finished a set of star training techniques, she jumped slightly on the spot, and the internal force in her body rotated. Her body bounced up easily, and she suddenly stood on the desk. She didn't have time to get out of the desk. When he jumped up and down, Zhao Jinying's excited voice came in from outside. "Sister, sister, look who is here." While talking, Lily had just jumped down from the table, and the tent door that had been set up was suddenly opened. Zhao Jinying's cheeks were red with excitement, and the people standing next to him looked pale. Zhao Xue'er and Zhao Lingfeng were a little embarrassed and reluctant. At this time, Zhao Jinying did not notice the complicated expressions on Zhao Xue'er's faces, and happily pulled them in. Sister Xue'er and brother Lingfeng are back. They didn't leave their phone number when they left before, and they came back after knowing that someone from our team is now dispatched. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Lingfeng turned away and said nothing. Zhao Xue'er laughed and complained half-truthfully, "Lily, you are more promising now. The Zhao family class is also my and Lingfeng's team. Such a big thing happened in the team, how could you not notify us? What about us? Now that you have found someone to sponsor the team, do you think you'll look down on me and Lingfeng?" Zhao Xue'er is 23 years old this year, only 2 years older than the original owner, but he is very sophisticated in terms of human nature. However, the original owner couldn't even flatter her. Now when she came back and opened her mouth, she accused the original owner of being ungrateful in a joking tone, completely explaining that she and Zhao Lingfeng had left the acrobatic troupe when they had nothing. According to the character of the original owner, he had to explain himself anxiously, even to prove that he was not an ungrateful person. Maybe they would be even more kind to Zhao Xue'er and Zhao Lingfeng, who abandoned themselves, and Zhao Jinying in times of crisis. Lily glanced at Zhao Xue'er. She was now wearing light makeup. The rustic floral jacket she was wearing when she left was now replaced by a fashionable down jacket. Zhao Lingfeng also changed his outfit. These two people originally had no money. Now I have money to change my clothes and tidy myself up. It must have been funded by someone. Sister Xue'er is not like that. Lily looked at Zhao Xue'er and the two of them remained silent. Zhao Jinying on the side became a little anxious when she heard Zhao Xue'er's words. Just as he was about to explain, Lily glanced at him and interrupted him. "Okay Jinying, your sister is joking with you. Don't you know her character? It's always been like this. The two of them are in this situation. I'm really tired when I rush back. The performance will start in a few days, so you take them to rest first. The rehearsal officially starts in the evening." When Zhao Jinying heard this, he didn't think much about it and just responded. On the contrary, Zhao Xue'er looked at Lily in surprise. When he saw that Lily didn't come to coax him in person and explain to him as hurriedly as Zhao Jinying, a flash of light flashed in his eyes. There was a look of disappointment, and when he heard Lily dismissing him like this, Zhao Xue'er showed a look of dissatisfaction. In the past, in the acrobatic troupe, let alone when the class leader was still alive, it was not Zhao Beihi's turn to speak. After the class leader passed away, it was even more, without Zhao Beihi taking the decision. When they left in separate classes, even the heir to the class leader, Zhao Jinying, had to obey him. Unexpectedly, he and Zhao Lingfeng had only been away for a few days, but when they came back, they would be occupied by the dove. Instead, it's up to Lily to arrange it. "I'll go with Lingfeng to rest for a while, and I'll talk to you later." Zhao Xue'er was a little unwilling to accept that so many changes had taken place in the 2 months since she left the group. She came back this time for a purpose. She wanted to. The Zhao family is firmly in her hands and will become a help for her in the future. What's more, a big shot once told her that as long as she abolished Lily Zhao, countless benefits would be waiting for her. Zhao Shuer has been out with Zhao Lingfeng these days. The two of them have been unable to get work, and they are always looking at other people's faces. She has had enough of living as a servant, she wants to stand out, she wants to complete the tasks assigned by the big shot, and she will rise to the top from now on. Thinking of this, Zhao Shuer's face showed a bit of determination, and she subconsciously glanced at Lily with some sharp eyes. If she wanted to get what she needed, she couldn't allow anyone to stand in front of her. Zhao Jiaban, she wanted to obtaining it was not only to give a sigh of relief, but also to make it easier to complete the affairs of Zhao Beihe that the big shot told me after getting Zhao Jiaban. Seeing how Zhao Shuer wanted to take over the Zhao family class when he came back, Lily couldn't help but laugh. When the Zhao family class was leaderless 2 months ago, a bold and aggressive girl like Zhao Shuer would naturally be able to hold on. To live in the scene, people like Zhao Jinying and Zhao Beihe, who have no ideas and are weak-tempered, naturally rely on her, but now that she has left, and the Zhao family class has become a climate again, why does she think that the Zhao family class is still what she wants now? Want something? Lily watched Zhao Shuer pulling Zhao Lingfeng out in front. The two were talking and laughing. They didn't even say hello to her when they left. Zhao Jinying followed behind like a little follower, and couldn't help but curved the corner of his mouth. In the evening, the restaurant next door specially sent food over. The former members of the Zhao family also heard about the return of Zhao Shuer and Zhao Shuer. However, seeing that Lily had no intention of calling them out for dinner, everyone naturally understood. Zhao Shuer was not popular with Lily, so no one mentioned them. Zhao Shuer and Zhao Lingfeng discussed in the tent all afternoon, then slept for a while and got up to prepare to win over the old people from Zhao's class in the evening. When I came out, I saw a group of people surrounding the big table next to the acrobatic troupe, and most of the dishes on it were empty. There wasn't even any food in the rice bowl next to it. Why didn't anyone come to invite us to eat? Seeing this situation, Zhao Shuer couldn't help but look a little ugly. She actually had money in her hands at the moment, and the big shot behind the scenes asked her to rectify Zhao Beihe and gave her one in advance. Although Zhao Shuer has spent some money on clothes and cosmetics recently, she still has money left. She originally didn't bother to eat with these rude people, but now she wants to get the Zhao family class. If you want to get the support of this group of people, eating, living and training together is the best way to close the relationship. But now no one calls her to eat. Zhao Shuer doesn't want to eat, so forget it. No one else wants to call her at this moment. Her intention to eat made her feel a little unhappy. I have only been away for a few days. The old class leader has only passed away for a few days. Could it be that the current Zhao family class has already changed to another surname? Zhao Shuer curled her lips, held Zhao Lingfeng's hand and stood in front of the dining table and said sharply, "Lingfeng and I came back for the Zhao family class. Is it possible that the Zhao family class now is no longer the Zhao family class?" The people in Zhao's class who were originally discussing the performance in half a month saw Zhao Shuer coming out and heard her unkind tone. The smiles on everyone's faces suddenly faded. Many of those holding bowls frowned and put down their chopsticks, and glanced at Lily subconsciously. No one said anything. Where are you talking? How many people in the Zhao class are not named Zhao now? Lily stood up with a smile, glanced at the leftovers on the table, and greeted loudly, "I didn't call today. When you ate, you just thought that you had rushed back all the way after hearing the news about the reorganization of the Zhao family class. You were tired after a long journey and rested in the shed in the afternoon, so I didn't call you. Now that you are awake, hurry up and add more pair of chopsticks." Lily said this as soon as she said it. Zhao Shuer was unhappy at first, but when he saw that no one in Zhao's class spoke, he asked Lily, who used to be afraid to speak out in front of him, to speak up. Now that everyone was eating like this, he was still allowed to continue eating. Now that she was rich, she felt that Lily was looking down on her. She was angry and said without thinking, "Why do I feel that if I don't come back for a while, everyone in the team will become unfamiliar with us? Jinying, tell me." Zhao Jinying stood up awkwardly after her name was called, glanced at Lily, and then at Zhao Shue'er, rubbed her hands and was speechless. "Sister Shue'er. Well, since we are all a family, why do we need others to call us for dinner?" People in the team now regard Lily as the god of wealth. To be honest, whoever has the ability to lead everyone to make money will naturally be the boss. In everyone's mind, everyone has to rely on Lily for food, so naturally they have to help her speak. Seeing Zhao Shue'er's menacing look, many people felt a little unhappy. Seeing the good atmosphere, she insisted on making a mess, and then seeing the way she started making trouble as soon as she came back, some people couldn't stand it and said, "Everyone has to ask for 3 or 4 invitations to eat. That is to say, the class leader is here now. If the class leader is still alive, whether you want to eat or not, everyone will have eaten." As soon as these words were spoken, a group of people laughed muffledly. Zhao Shue'er was so angry that he was trembling all over. He was about to speak, but he remembered something. He actually endured the tone and gave Zhao Lingfeng a hand. Snorted coldly, stamped his feet and turned around to go out. Sister Shue'er and the others." Zhao Jinying glanced at Zhao Shue'er, who turned to leave with some embarrassment, then looked at Lily, who shook her head. "Don't worry, they will come back." How could Zhao Shue'er be willing to really leave when he didn't get the Zhao family class and didn't get enough to complete the commission from the big boss behind the scenes? At first, Zhao Jinying was worried that Zhao Shue'er would leave in anger. Now that the Zhao family class had finally been reorganized, Zhao Jinying was deeply afraid that everyone would be separated by then. The previous scene of everyone in the Zhao family class returning to their hometowns when his father passed away made he was frightened, so after the meal he moved a stool and stood guard at the door. Within 2 hours, Zhao Shue'er, who looked like he had eaten and drank enough, came back with Zhao Lingfeng on his arm, talking and laughing. When he saw Zhao Jinying standing guard at the door, a proud smile appeared on Zhao Shue'er's face. Her appearance made some people in the group feel faintly uncomfortable. Although many people did not mention it, they inevitably felt that Zhao Shue'er did not eat with everyone. Instead went out alone to open a small stove. Although the money belonged to Zhao Shue'er and she could spend it however she wanted, it was inevitable that everyone still had some resistance in their hearts. After the two came back, they saw everyone training separately and ignored them. They felt a little embarrassed and felt that they couldn't get off the stage. Seeing that only Zhao Jinying was talking to them, she simply used the excuse of teaching Zhao Jinying skills to pull Zhao Jinying to the side, laughing and laughing without knowing what they were talking about. Lily ignored them and instead stepped directly onto the long ladder ready to go up high. This time she is planning to add some new tricks to the items she is preparing to perform. Now she has practiced internal strength and star body training for more than 2 months. Her body is much lighter than before, as long as she can master her balance well. Even if she does a few somersaults in mid-air, it won't be a problem. After all, after she has the internal strength, she can control her body to walk on the tightrope easily without causing too much shock. If she takes a step back and says, if she can't stand, falling off the wire steadily, Lily has internal strength in her body, and she can stand firmly even if she falls down. Therefore, she planned to perform well in this performance. After she became famous, it would be more beneficial to the Zhao family team in the future. When she saw Lily stepping on the steel ladder, Zhao Shue'er, who was talking to Zhao Jinying, suddenly lit up. She glanced at Zhao Lingfeng subconsciously. After the two exchanged a look, Zhao Lingfeng reached out and pulled Zhao Jinying enthusiastically. The conversation started. Zhao Shue'er walked under the steel ladder and stretched out his hand as if to hold the steel ladder. He raised his head and spoke to Lily. Lily, I heard that our acrobatic class is now sponsored by someone. At this moment, Lily has already reached mid-air. People who have just learned to walk on the tightrope know that it is best not to lower their heads and look down when walking on the tightrope. They usually keep their eyes on the tightrope to avoid being distracted and giving rise to fear. After all, walking on a tightrope can lead to accidents if you're not careful. Lily had just stepped onto the steel frame. Zhao Shui ran over to talk to someone, and someone from an acrobatic class not far away who was manipulating the tightrope saw what was happening here. His brows suddenly furrowed. Shui, please stand further away. They are not new to acrobatics. Now when Lily is stepping on the tightrope, Zhao Shui comes to talk to her. It would be fatal if she gets distracted. Although there is sand under the tightrope, falling down is not fun. Everyone is like this. I didn't think that Zhao Shui did it on purpose, but I felt a little bored that she chose this time to talk to Lily. She scolded Zhao Shui, but she seemed not to understand the meaning of others' words. He raised his head and moved the ladder again. Actually, I also know a boss who is engaged in real estate. The price she offers is not low. If you sign the contract later, maybe we can see if we can choose the owner. After she finished speaking, she held her hand with one hand. While holding the ladder, she stretched out her hand to straighten her hair, as if her hands and feet had accidentally bumped into the ladder. The ladder was set up beside the steel wire. At this moment, Lily had stepped on the edge of the steel wire. The original weight of her body plus the time between walking, a small amount of force can make the steel wire sway violently, not to mention that Zhao Shui's movement of the ladder makes the steel wire shake even more violently. Such a move scares the person controlling the steel wire not far away, and cold sweat breaks out on his back. Everyone didn't hear what Zhao Shui said clearly. They only saw Lily's body swaying in the air, and then she rolled lightly in the air. Many people almost screamed, but at this juncture, something happened again. My throat was dry and I couldn't make a sound. Lily had already been mentally prepared when she saw Zhao Shui coming. Now she turned over and landed firmly on the wire. After the wire stopped shaking, her body also balanced, and then she began to feel depressed. He walked forward loudly. Seeing that she came down safely, everyone let out a sigh of relief. A woman who was learning how to hang on the high-altitude rings jumped out of the rings without thinking. Seeing Zhao Shui still standing by the wire, she pulled her up. She pulled away, waved her hand and slapped him. There was a crisp sound. Just when Zhao Shui was gritting his teeth secretly to prevent Lily from falling down, Leng Huishu was slapped. This slap made her dizzy and her ears started to buzz. When the sound rang, Zhao Shui's face was burning, and he shouted without thinking, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Get away from me! I didn't see that Lily is on the tightrope right now. Why are you standing so close? What if you hit it and fall off? Will you pay for it then? Everyone is performing acrobatics. Put yourself in Zhao Shui's shoes and think about it. If you meet Zhao Shui on the wire, who will you cry to if there is an accident?" When everyone thought of this, they looked at Zhao Shui with very unkind eyes. Zhao Shui was slapped in public. At this moment, she was furious and an idea came to her mind. She stepped forward without thinking. He grabbed the woman's hair, and the two of them immediately rolled into a ball. After a while, they bumped into the ladder on the edge of the steel wire and made a loud bang. The top wire shook even more violently. Zhao Shui was pretending to be something. He raised his head and subconsciously glanced at the sky. He didn't see Lily falling. Instead, he was suppressed to the ground by the woman. He grabbed her collar, straddled her chest, and stretched out his hand to tear her mouth apart. Zhao Shui stretched her legs to kick the ladder while struggling desperately. However, she had something in her mind, so she was not focused during the fight. Her appearance became more and more irritating. Originally, She felt that the fight between the two was too serious because of such a trivial matter. He also stood in the direction of the woman. Especially when they saw the dangling steel rope, many people shed a cold sweat for Lily in the air, but she ran and jumped quickly to finish walking the steel rope without turning her head. Then he fell back and landed on the ladder. Instead, he walked directly to the opposite side and jumped to the hanging ring in the air. After reaching out and grabbing the ribbon on the hanging ring, Lily kicked hard, grabbed the ribbon with his body and swung directly towards Zhao Shuer. "Come over." At this time, Zhao Shuer was rolling into a ball with the woman. Both of them were studying acrobatics, and their strength was not small. Zhao Shuer just did not fight harshly just because he was pretending that something was wrong, but used all his energy to hum. On top of the destruction, Lily didn't see it falling down at this time. She was almost disfigured by the woman's beating. Zhao Shuer felt really angry in her heart and tried all her strength to finally sit up. However, Lily was swaying at this moment. She came over, and when she was about to touch Zhao Shuer's body, Lily stretched out her hand to put down the hanging ring, and kicked Zhao Shuer's back with both feet. The force of her kick was not small, and coupled with the force of the collision with her body, the force of her kick just now, Zhao Shuer, who turned over and sat up, felt a sharp pain in his back vest, and then his body flew up involuntarily. With a bang, Zhao Shuer was so frightened that before she could shout, she suddenly hit the steel frame that she had been kicking desperately just now. The impact caused the steel frame to fall down, and she fell down inside the shed. There was a harsh sound, and Zhao Shuer felt as if all the bones in his body were falling apart. His cheek hit the ladder frame and the bridge of his nose seemed to have been displaced. An unstoppable sour feeling surged up in his nose, and a wave of the heat surged out, and I was so dizzy that I couldn't even moan. "If you want to fight, go out and fight. The performance will be held in half a month. Let's do whatever we are supposed to do." After Lily kicked the person, she didn't mention anything about Zhao Shuer's attempt to kick the steel frame just now, although she was scolding her now. It was the person fighting, but anyone with a discerning eye could see who she had just kicked out. At this moment, the woman who was fighting with Zhao Shuer quickly got up and glanced bitterly at Zhao Shuer, who was lying motionless on the ladder. At this moment, the relationship was tense. She turned around and apologized to Lily before returning to her practice position. The people around her also dispersed in twos and threes. At this time, no one felt that what Lily had just scolded was wrong. After all, the two women had fought before and almost cost her her life. Lily just scolded her. If she had met someone with a bad temper, she would have started fighting long ago. Zhao Lingfeng didn't care about stumbling Zhao Jinying anymore, and hurriedly stepped forward to hug the dying Zhao Shuer. Zhao Shuer's nose was bleeding, his face and lips were bruised, and a piece of his cheek was scratched off by the steel ladder. There was a small piece of flesh, and there was some sand on the wound. Zhao Shuer's originally beautiful face now looked extremely ferocious. Zhao Lingfeng originally wanted the people around him to help him send Zhao Shuer to the hospital, but after passing everyone in Zhao's class had opinions about what happened just now. Zhao Lingfeng shouted a few words but no one paid any attention to them. In the end, Zhao Lingfeng had to carry Zhao Shuer on his back and hurried out. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 508. Zhao Lingfeng didn't care about stumbling Zhao Jinying anymore, and hurriedly stepped forward to hug the dying Zhao Shuer. Zhao Shuer's nose was bleeding, his face and lips were bruised, and a piece of his cheek was scratched off by the steel ladder. There was a small piece of flesh, and there was some sand on the wound. Zhao Shuer's originally beautiful face now looked extremely ferocious. Zhao Lingfeng originally wanted the people around him to help him send Zhao Shuer to the hospital, but after passing everyone in Zhao's class had opinions about what happened just now. Zhao Lingfeng shouted a few words but no one paid any attention to them. In the end, Zhao Lingfeng had to carry Zhao Shuer on his back and hurried out. This time, Zhao Shuer originally wanted to take this opportunity to complete the big boss's request, but he didn't expect that the task was not completed in the end. Instead, he tormented himself for a while, got into a fight with others, and offended everyone in the team. In the end, I was kicked and fell by Lily, and I spent hundreds of dollars to go to the hospital to clean the wound on my face. The key was that the lip was torn and had stitches. Even if the stitches were removed a week later, the wound didn't look particularly obvious. But Zhao Shuer felt a little uncomfortable when he thought that he had accomplished nothing and ended up with scars for no reason. Seeing that the time for the opening of the house of the two second-generation young bosses was getting closer and closer, the big boss behind the scenes made an appointment with Zhao Shuer before the opening, but he couldn't get anything done. The key was that Zhao Shuer collected the money. And he has spent a lot of money to recuperate his injuries these days. Now that the time is coming, Lily is not injured or disfigured, and the Zhao family team has not fallen into his hands. Zhao Shuer is starting to get a little anxious. After staying in the hospital for more than a week, she returned to the team in a panic. On the day Zhao Shuer was discharged from the hospital, everyone was rehearsing. When she returned to the shed, many people heard the noise and turned to look at her, but no one greeted her at all. Zhao Shuer felt a little unhappy, but at this moment she also knew that her top priority was she had to hold back even if she was angry, so after returning to the team, Zhao Shuer hid in her usual tent and did not come out until 2 days later, when she pulled Zhao Jinying and stood in front of Lily. Sister Shuer said that the performance time is coming soon, and she also wants to do her best for the group. Lily knew that Zhao Shuer was discharged from the hospital. She even called Zhao Jinying when she was discharged from the hospital 2 days ago. Zhao Jinying offered to pick her up at that time. It was just because the people in the team had a lot of objections to Zhao Shuer about the fight last time. After Zhao Jinying raised his opinion, Lily did not agree. Naturally, the others he even lost interest in picking up Zhao Shuer, and finally Zhao Shuer came back on his own. She lay in her shed for 2 days without coming out, and Zhao Lingfeng brought her food and drink inside. Seeing that Zhao Shuer was finally willing to go out, Lily knew what she had in mind. When she saw a few scars on Zhao Shuer's originally smooth face, Lily curled her lips and laughed. There are almost all people in the group now. There is no shortage of manpower. If the injury is not healed yet, just go back to the house to recuperate. When Zhao Shuer heard this, she felt aggrieved. Practicing acrobatics was hard work. If she could, she would just be the boss and not have to practice in person. However, because of the fight with the members of the group, she had almost all the members of the acrobatic troupe. After offending Guang, now if she wants to plot against Lily and drive her out of the group, she must establish a good relationship with the people in the group. Otherwise, who will listen to her then? Although she has a boss behind her now, her relationship with that boss is not visible to the public. Although Zhao Shuer is sure that these people can get money if they change bosses with him, Lily has now found a boss to rely on. For those in the Zhao family team who were used to poverty in the past, Zhao Shuer even said great benefits. And there is no real benefit in front of you that can impress people. Therefore, if she wants to seize power, she must first kill Lily and squeeze him away. Then, when the group is leaderless, she will lead the group of people to find new jobs. As long as she has finished what the boss behind the scenes told her, she will really get the money. The people in the Zhao family team will probably be convinced by her. In order to kill Lily, in addition to causing her body to suffer the same serious injuries as his own, he also had to slander her reputation and drive her out of the acrobatic troupe. As for how to slander Lily's reputation, Zhao Shuer couldn't think of a way for a while, but it was extremely easy for acrobats to make Lily lose her limbs or disfigure her face. As long as Lily believed in herself, Zhao Shuer would find it. The opportunity was not difficult, so she was still prepared to do what she had planned before, and something unexpected happened while Lily was practicing. Even if she was seriously injured, she couldn't blame herself. At most, she could just say something about the unexpected situation and shirk it. Moreover, once Lily is injured and the group is leaderless, it will be much easier for him to take power. Thinking of this, Zhao Shuer lowered his head and stretched out his hand to awkwardly move his hair to block the pink scar on his forehead. My injury is almost healed. Although there are no shortage of people in the regiment, I always follow everyone is a member of the group and should do something for the group. When she heard Lily say that the group was now full of manpower, Zhao Shuer gritted her teeth bitterly. She had left some marks on her face after she was injured last time. She no longer spoke and acted with the same confidence as before. Instead, she brought a few. She was very embarrassed and unsure of herself. She used to like to tie her hair up and tie it back. But now that she had an injury on her cheek, she cut a long haircut to cover her forehead, and she subconsciously reached out to cover it when she spoke. Her mouth is completely different from the generous and calm woman in the plot. Lily didn't say a word when she heard what she said. Zhao Shuer was a little unhappy when he thought that he had somehow become a superfluous person in the Zhao family's class. But now he saw that he took the initiative to perform and was rejected by Lily, and he felt a little unhappy in his heart. Naturally, she felt even more uncomfortable. She came here to express her position. Now after saying this to Lily, and seeing that Lily was silent, Zhao Shuer turned around with a dark face and went back to the shed to change clothes. When Zhao Shuer changed her clothes and came out, she realized that Lily was on top of the aerial ring project that she was good at in the past. There was only one ring in the whole shed, and some of the performance props she was familiar with in the past were now being used. The only remaining vacancy left is a tightrope walker. Zhao Beihe was naturally the best at tightrope walking in the acrobatics team in the past. In the Zhao team, she can almost be called the pillar of tightrope walking. Zhao Shuer has also practiced tightrope walking, but not much. Her specialty is high-altitude rings, but this time since Lily had already practiced the child sling, she naturally couldn't practice it, and she had just come out and said that she would practice with the Zhao family team for a long time. At this time, she had even changed her clothes. If she stood aside and stared at Luke, it would be more difficult for the people in the Zhao family to accept her again. She hesitated for a while, and finally decided to walk on the tightrope. Although walking on the tightrope was a bit more dangerous, Zhao Shuer believed that she had learned it for several years, and she is afraid of heights. As long as the tightrope is stable, it is not difficult to walk across it. By then, as long as she walks the tightrope once and lets the people in the Zhao family see her attitude, there should be no one sitting next to her to rest. What will she say? Thinking of this, Zhao Shuer asked Zhao Lingfeng to help her hold the ladder tightly, and prepared to climb up. She had a crooked thought about Lily at the beginning, and now she is trying to save others, so she is naturally afraid that someone will touch her. When she climbed up the ladder, she wondered if it was because she had not practiced for a long time. At this time, Zhao Shuer still felt that her legs were somewhat weak. When she finally stood on the wire, she just took a step forward. Now, held the ribbon in both hands, while Lily, who was sitting on the steel ring, laughed softly. She waited for so long, and finally waited for the day when Zhao Shuer climbed up the wire by himself. Lily held the ribbon tightly with one hand, and while using the movement of swinging in the air, she reached into her arms and touched it with one hand. After knowing that Zhao Shuer after she was discharged from the hospital, she had been carrying a few pebbles the size of peanuts with her, and now they came in handy. When Zhao Shuer swayed and took steps, Lily looked at the direction of her ankles, used strength in her hands, and palmed them. The pebble she was holding in her hand was suddenly smashed out with all her strength. While everyone in the acrobatic troupe was doing their own exercises, Zhao Shuer, who had finally climbed up the tightrope, suddenly felt a sharp pain in her ankle. She was already very nervous because walking on the tightrope was not something she was good at. When her foot hurt, she subconsciously lifted up her foot that was about to be put down, and bent over to rub it. Her originally balanced body tilted to one side because of such an action. When Zhao Shui reacted by this time, her body had tilted to one side and was falling uncontrollably. Suddenly, a loud scream came from the shed. Everyone looked up and looked in the direction of the sound, just in time to see Zhao Shui screaming and falling off the wire with a bang sound. When she got up, although the ground was full of sand, falling from high altitude was not fun after all. She soon heard painful moans from her mouth, and the people in the acrobatic troupe seemed to have reacted and hurriedly surrounded her. When Zhao Shui was sent to the hospital, it was quickly determined that her right thigh and 2 ribs were fractured, and the bones in her chest were broken and pierced her internal organs. Her condition was very critical and she needed immediate surgery. The people in the acrobatic troupe were very worried about Zhao Shui's condition at first, but when they heard that the surgery cost tens of thousands, a group of people fell silent. No one in the acrobatic troupe was a rich person. Although the acrobatic troupe had previously 300,000 yuan has been received, but apart from the funds for the daily survival of the acrobatic troupe, every penny belongs to everyone in the acrobatic troupe. Now it is necessary to spend everyone's money to save a person who has not done anything for the troupe. What happened to Zhao Shui? Many people felt a little reluctant, especially when Zhao Shui had a very unpleasant quarrel with the people in the group. Now after the incident, no one took the initiative to say that they wanted to give away their share of the money. Let him come out to perform surgery on Zhao Shui. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 509. There was some silence in front of the operating room. Many people looked at each other. When the nurse urged everyone to pay the fee, no one said anything. Zhao Lingfeng was very unhappy and started arguing in front of the operating room. She was injured because of the group's performance. Now that people's lives are at stake, could it be that the team didn't care about her after her accident? People who originally didn't want to care about Zhao Shui felt a little uncomfortable when they heard Zhao Lingfeng's words. It's not like I forced her to practice in the first place. Lily has already said that there is no shortage of people in the group now. You guys are shameless and come back to stay. She didn't leave the group, she just wanted to eat and drink for free, so who is to blame if something happens now? Nothing happens to Lily when she practices tightrope on weekdays, so who can blame her if she falls because of her poor skills? Everyone was talking to each other, and the noise became more and more fierce, and finally they almost started fighting. In the plot, Zhao Beihe also experienced this after she was injured. After she broke her leg, Zhao Shui pretended to tell her that the group had no money to treat her. Zhao Bai was timid and cowardly at first, but he was also afraid that his own injury would be implicated. Others were injured the first time and were discharged from the hospital before their injuries healed. The second time they could barely save their lives, leaving them with physical disabilities. At this time, it was Zhao Shui's turn. After Lily let the group of people in front of her argue for a while, she made the decision to save Zhao Shui's life. As for her broken femur and ribs, if they could be reattached without leaving any traces, her life would be considered good. If bad luck left sequelae, and she was destined to have this disaster. Zhao Lingfeng felt a little unhappy when she heard Lily say that she would only save Zhao Shui's life, but now the money is not in his hands. It was not his turn to make the decision in the acrobatic troupe, so no matter how unwilling he was, he could only grit his teeth and endure it. After paying the 30,000 yuan for the surgery, no one was happy. The people in the acrobatic troupe thought that the 30,000 yuan that belonged to everyone had saved Zhao Shui's life. Zhao Lingfeng still looked like he had suffered a big loss, and felt hurt. Zhao Shui really couldn't sympathize with him, but everyone was cursing him. This time, the incident of Zhao Shue'er falling from the wire failed to suppress the fire and was exposed by a media outlet. The news media has been broadcasting this matter for several days. In the past 2 years, many people who are keen on Western magic have developed a strong interest in acrobatics, a traditional performance. Many TV station and newspaper reporters came to interview Lily and Zhao Jiaban. The incident of Zhao Shue'er's injury completely became popular, and many businessmen began to donate to the acrobatic troupe in the name of showing love, and the boss who sponsored Lily also made a lot of hype about it. The house under his name that was going to be put up for sale in a few days was sold out, and he was so happy that he wrote a check for 200,000 and handed it to Lily. In the end, something happened to Zhao Shue'er, which made the acrobatic troupe famous. In the end, Lily spent 30,000 yuan, but received nearly 1 million in sponsorship in total. Now that she had money in hand, Lily naturally took part of the money and distributed it to everyone. In this way, the people in the acrobatic troupe were naturally even more grateful to Lily. Later, on the day when the house went on sale, everyone performed very hard, and the performance was a success for 3 days in a row. The TV station even broadcast this live event, which made the Zhao family team popular in the imperial capital. From the beginning, the Zhao family team could not receive jobs in the imperial capital, and the jobs they received later were already scheduled 2 years later. The success of the troupe allowed the Zhao family to successfully establish a foothold in Beijing. Lily rented an additional place. The members of the Zhao family had their own fixed performance venue. They no longer had to live in different places as before. It's just that when someone makes a reservation, a group of people will go and have their own territory. Now that she had money in her hand, Lily simply held a celebration banquet, and after booking a hotel, Lily just left the performance venue of the Zhao family class amidst the fawning sounds of a group of Zhao family members. She was originally chatting and laughing with Lily. Zhao Jinying suddenly pointed not far away and shouted loudly. "Sister, look, it's Sister Shue'er." Today, everyone came to the new site to install props. After the new site was established, many of the old props have been replaced with new ones. Just when everyone was excited, Lily invited another celebration banquet today. Everyone was when he was happy. Leng Hui heard Zhao Shue'er's name, and some of the old people in Zhao's class suddenly showed unhappy looks on their faces. Lily followed Zhao Jinying's voice and looked over, and saw Zhao Shue'er, who was wearing a somewhat dirty pink down jacket not far away, with his hands in his pockets and messy hair, standing not far away and staring. Jealousy flashed in her eyes when she saw Lily, and then she dragged her legs that had not fully recovered and walked over. "Ziahe, you moved to a new place, why didn't anyone notify me?" After Zhao Shue'er was injured, the theater company only paid her 30,000 yuan for the operation. She did not have medical insurance. Later, in order to save her life and a leg, she had to give up all the 20,000 yuan she had received from the boss behind the scenes. She took it out for medical treatment, but it seemed like a lot of money, but in fact it was not much money, especially after being hospitalized. She needed money for food and drink. In the end, she was discharged from the hospital before her injury healed, so naturally her leg was not well maintained. Chances are, the injury was only for a short time now, so the recovery is not good. You can see it when walking. She seemed to have been beaten, her cheeks were bruised, and the corners of her mouth were cracked. Even if she tried to look calm at this moment, her appearance was as desolate as she could be. Seeing Zhao Shue'er appear, no one in Zhao's class said a word, and many people showed dissatisfaction on their faces. Zhao Shue'er had received all the cold looks Zhao Beihe had received in the original plot, and the feeling in her heart at this moment was natural. One can imagine. "Ziahe, I have something to tell you." Zhao Shue'er forced a smile to herself. After seeing that no one paid any attention to her, she felt a bit resentful in her heart, but then she licked her lips again and her eyes fell on Lily. Zhao Shue'er's face was injured at this moment, and her legs were ruined. She was now just like Zhao Beihe in the plot, almost at a point of desperation and helpless. She fell unconscious after falling from the wire that day. Later, when she woke up in the hospital, she found out that she had been seriously injured and almost died. After she woke up, she also thought about the inexplicable severe pain in her ankle. She wondered if someone was touching her. She looked at her ankle and it was bruised. One piece looked like it had been injured by a slingshot, but she couldn't remember who had a slingshot when she was walking the tightrope. She had also wondered whether Lily knew something and was deliberately seeking revenge on her, but before she fell down that day, Lily was on the high-altitude ring and had no time or place to put the slingshot. What's more, her deal with the boss behind the scenes, except for Zhao Lingfeng, Wei Bei didn't know at all that Zhao Lingfeng was her man and there was no way he would betray her. Zhao Shuer thought about it for a long time but couldn't come up with an answer. She later went back to the site to find evidence, but the site belonged to the developer. After the Zhao team demolished it, no traces could be seen. The people at the construction site did not allow her to enter at all. Zhao Shuer sneaked in and took a look, but it was full of sand, except for pebbles and small gravel, and there was no evidence at all. This time, there was no evidence that she fell from a high altitude, and in the end it was nothing but nothing. Zhao Shuer had no choice but to admit that he was unlucky and swallowed this bitter pill. But all this suffering is not over. The big boss behind the scenes who originally cooperated with her and asked her to help teach Lily a lesson suddenly turned his back. Zhao Shuer failed to do what he promised her, and also used the tens of thousands of deposits he had given for medical treatment. The health matters have been taken care of, and the big boss behind the scenes comes from a wealthy family. Is it easy for such a person to make money? After taking the money, nothing could be done. The big boss behind the scenes got angry and found someone to teach Zhao Shuer a lesson. He almost beat her to death. Zhao Shuer was so panicked and frightened that she pretended to be a beggar and hid for several days. She even rented out the hospital. She didn't dare to go back to the house. It wasn't until she saw the current situation of the Zhao family team on TV yesterday that Zhao Shuer came all the way secretly. In order to fear that her whereabouts would be discovered by the big boss behind the scenes, she didn't even tell her closest friend Zhao Lingfeng. When she saw Lily surrounded by people, Zhao Shuer felt sad in her heart. She was also a member of the Zhao family team. Now she should be as popular as the people in the Zhao family team, but now she is excluded by the people in the Zhao family team. Zhao Beihe, who was originally the most cowardly and incompetent in the team, has now become the leader of the Zhao family team. The leader, but she, who is outstanding in everything, is now homeless. Thinking of the torture she has suffered these days, her face is ruined, and her body is ruined. The doctor said that if she does not receive good treatment, she may never be able to walk in the rest of her life. When he was disabled, Zhao Shuer burst into tears. If you have anything to say, say it now. When Lily saw Zhao Shuer's appearance, she sneered in her heart. Zhao Shuer's desolate scene now was just tit for tat. Zhao Beihe in the plot also had her. In such a miserable time, if Zhao Shuer had not been evil-minded and pushed Lily Zhao to a dead end, Zhao Lily would not have paid the price with her soul and found herself to fulfill her wish. Naturally, Zhao Shuer would not have to end up in the current situation. Can't you help me out of the fact that we grew up together? Zhao Shuer couldn't help but complain when she saw Lily being so ruthless. She had long forgotten that she had agreed to cooperate with the boss behind the scenes. She was cruel and ruthless, and all she could see in her heart and eyes at this moment was that Lily was sorry for her. Anyway, we are all surnamed Zhao. You see me like this now. I need money to treat my legs. I can't ruin it like this. It was also because of Zhao Jiaban that I fell down. Zhao Beihe in the plot also thought about what she said, but Zhao Beihe's character is weaker than hers, so she thought about these words in her heart, but had no chance to say them out, especially among the many truths that Zhao Shuer said one by one. He didn't even dare to speak. At this time, Zhao Shuai expressed her grievances. Unfortunately, no one in Zhao's class sympathized with her. Even if some people thought that her current fate was indeed pitiful, everyone just thought that Zhao Shuai was like a bottomless pit now. Even if some people want to do good deeds, if they have to spend their lives in it, many people still remain silent. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 510. In the plot, no one speaks out for Zhao Beihe. Naturally, it is impossible for anyone to speak up for Zhao Shuai at this time, especially since Zhao Shuai had been unhappy with everyone in the troop before, and even after a fight, many people even felt that she had brought it upon herself when she fell. Zhao Shuai had never performed once in the group, and Lily had said that there was no shortage of people in the group when she was practicing that day. If she accidentally fell down, who could be blamed? Seeing that no one in Zhao's class paid any attention to her after she said this, Zhao Shuai felt sad and a little angry. She gritted her teeth and glanced at Lily. This action affected the wound on her face. Zhao Shuai stretched out the back of his hand that had been scratched. His expression was gloomy for a while, then he touched his cheek and said with determination, "Lily, I know a secret." At this moment, Lily didn't give her any benefits, regardless of the old relationship, and the big boss behind the scenes even sent people to beat her. This simply cost her life. Now Zhao Shuai didn't. There is a way to confront the big boss behind the scenes. She hopes that Lily and the big boss will get into trouble. When the dog bites the dog, she hopes that Lily will get no benefit from hitting the stone with an egg. She also hopes that Lily will cause some trouble for the big boss for herself. Take it out. At this point, Zhao Shuai started to get ruthless after not getting any benefits. Even if she was hurting others, she would provoke Lily to have a fight with the big boss behind the scenes and vent her anger. Do you know how I came back this time? Zhao Shuai thought of this and looked at Lily and laughed when she told her she had a secret. Beihe knew that Zhao Shuai had been forced to become cruel and was ready to reveal her dark secret, so Zhao Shuai started talking about how she was called into a place after she and Zhao Beihe parted ways. How come I met a young and beautiful woman, and when I finally heard her words about how to deal with Lily when she came back, Lily was not surprised. Instead, she was a little surprised by Zhao Shuai's ruthlessness. Now that he saw that he couldn't take advantage, he was actually planning to lure her to find that person. The boss behind the scenes took revenge. Lily was able to calm down at this moment, but the people in the Zhao family class around her couldn't. They all looked filled with indignation. Zhao Jinying was so angry that her face turned red. Sister Shuai, how could you do this? Zhao Shuai didn't care at this time. She had already expected such a result when she told the matter. Now, no one in Zhao's class had a good impression of her anyway, and she no longer had to pretend like before. So Zhao Shuai didn't take Zhao Jinying's roar to heart at all. Instead, he looked at Lily and said, "Look at me, I've fallen to this point now. What I did before was indeed wrong, but you didn't suffer any damage at all. But look at me, now my leg is lame and my face is ruined. I know I deserve it. So I don't ask for your forgiveness, but you have to be careful about the boss named Gan. That is a real big shot. She hates you to the core. I don't know how to deal with you in the future. If you have a high status, just stretching your fingers to kill you is like killing an ant." Speaking of this, Zhao Shuai's lips curled up. Her eyes glanced at the faces of the people in Zhao's class. Although she said at this moment that she deserved her current fate. But Zhao Shuai was still unwilling to give in, so she deliberately named the big boss behind the scenes and said that she might say something against Lily again in the future. She clearly wanted to show off the dissatisfaction between the people in the Zhao family's class and Lily. Fearful, when she revealed the identity of the boss surnamed Gan, and saw worried looks on the faces of some people in the Zhao class, Zhao Shue's eyes showed satisfaction and glanced at Lily. Okay, even if I am wrong, but for the sake of me still willing to tell you the news before I leave, please do me a favor and buy me 2 tickets to go back to my hometown. Tickets, that's okay, right? Zhao Shui is very smart. She knows that after she said that she harmed Lily, if she still wants Lily to spend a lot of money, normal people will definitely refuse when they hear such things, but she just said that someone she wanted to harm Lily and scolded the boss behind the scenes, which seemed to create a feeling of being enemies with Lily. She didn't ask for much, just 2 train tickets. For Lily today, she had to spend 1,000. It's not a big deal. If others heard such a request, they might easily agree. Zhao Shui grasps people's psychology very firmly. She not only wants to provoke the people in Zhao's class before leaving, but also wants to persuade Lily to die to satisfy her hatred. Now she also wants 2 train tickets. Lily listens hearing her request, he couldn't help but laugh. Shui, I have exhausted all my kindness to you. You are trying to harm me. I used to spend 30,000 yuan from the regiment to treat your illness and save your life. Have you forgotten? When Lily said this, Zhao Shui looked a little stupid. With a look on his face, he spread his hands. I'm sorry, I don't have any money now, and I actually knew what you just said, but there was no evidence. Now thank you for telling me the evidence. I have recorded it. I want to go find the boss named Gan and ask why she wants to harm me like this. Lily was deliberately trying to scare Zhao Shui. Although Zhao Shui was scheming, she was still young after all. When she heard Lily refuse to give her money, she also recorded what she just said. Zhao Shui felt a little dazed, and her expression suddenly changed. I was so scared that I turned pale. We still have some things to do, please give in. Seeing Zhao Shui's face change drastically, Lily sneered, passed her and left directly. When the people in Zhao's class heard that Lily had known about this, their hearts were filled with excitement. She breathed a sigh of relief. Since Lily knew that someone was harming her, she might have already made a plan behind her back. Otherwise, how could she be so calm? A smile appeared on the face of the person who was originally worried about whether the Zhao family would cause any trouble. Looking at Zhao Shui again, many people couldn't help but feel even more disgusted, thinking that such a scum had appeared in the Zhao family class before, and Lily had taken 30,000 yuan from the group to save her. If she had known, it would be better to share the money with everyone. Everyone glared at Zhao Shui. When Zhao Shui realized what he was doing and wanted to chase the people from Zhao's class again, the people from Zhao's class had already got in the car and left, thinking of what they had just said. Now that she didn't have the money to buy a ticket and go back to her hometown to hide, Zhao Shui realized that she was a little scared now. She wanted to chase the car, but her legs were still lame at the moment, so she couldn't catch up. After a while, the car was already gone. He ran away until his shadow disappeared. Now Zhao Shui has paid the price for what she has done in the plot. Zhao Shui has now experienced all the pains that Lily Zhao suffered in the past. Now Zhao Shui must be living in fear. She must be thinking about this time how to escape. Maybe she was still regretting what she said to her that day. Now Zhao Shui was no longer worthy of Lily's attention. After solving the easy things, Lily turned her attention to the big boss behind the scenes. Body. The big boss behind the scenes was Feng Ganlu. Her parents were not very prominent, but she had a foster father who was very famous in the Chinese imperial capital. Her adoptive father was the mayor of the imperial city of China and had no children in his life. Mayor Gan always treated Ganlu, his adopted daughter, as his biological daughter and doted on her very much. Ganlu wanted to do business because of this and he doted on her very much. Only with the help of his adoptive father can the business become what it is today. No matter which way you go, give her some dignity so that she can run rampant in the imperial capital. In the plot, Shi Ganlu forced Zhao Beihe to the point where he later did. She almost lost her life, but when something happened to her, someone still helped her clean up the mess. If she wanted to bring down Mana, a small fight would not suffice. She had to make the matter bigger and attract attention. Only when more people do it. Lily thought about it and realized that her current martial arts skills were still not good enough to deal with Ganlu. It was not impossible for her to practice for 2 or 3 more years and kill Ganlu, but the original owner's aggrieved feelings could not be calmed down by taking Ganlu's life. What the original owner wants is justice, and this justice is to let Ganlu tell why he targeted her like this, and he hopes to make Ganlu pay the price openly for what she has done. Killing is easy, but it is a bit difficult to make Ganlu really pay the price. After all, Lily is not only facing Ganlu, but also Mayor Gan and his family behind Ganlu. Nowadays, the Zhao family team has gained a reputation in the imperial capital, and it is also somewhat famous in China. However, these reputations seem to be good at present, but in fact it is just a flash in the pan. Juggling troops like the Zhao family team and Mayor Gan are not here yet. At one level, if there is really a riot, the Zhao family team is somewhat famous now, but if Mayor Gan is really serious and directly has people block the news about the Zhao family team, the Zhao family team may disappear in less than half a year. By then the Zhao family team has lost its reputation, and it will not be up to the Gan family to decide how to deal with it. At this moment, he was the only one who was more famous, and he had a powerful force that even if the Gan family finally knew his identity, he wanted to clean up the aftermath for Ganlu, but he didn't dare to take action easily. Lily, the people in the imperial capital, was not prepared to think about it. On the surface, these people were doing their own thing, but in fact, there were no permanent friends among these powerful circles, and naturally there were no permanent enemies. Lily did not want to take this risk. She only had one chance, so she set her sights put it abroad. People in China like Western magic spread from abroad, but Lily has also entered foreign plots in previous missions, and knows that for some foreign people, some ancient civilizations in China are also very interesting. What interests them is that the Zhao family acrobatics class has a strong foundation. Many people practicing acrobatics today were trained by the original Zhao family class leader from childhood. Everyone in the team has a solid foundation, just like the original owner Zhao Beihe has several years of training experience in tightrope walking and high-altitude somersaults. These skills are accumulated through accumulated practice. They are not comparable to people today who have learned acrobatics for 2 or 3 years. In addition, Lily can do more after practicing martial arts. The difficult and thrilling movements, some of the group's traditional Qigong performances, spitting fire and swallowing swords can also completely surprise foreigners, so Lily is ready to promote the traditional events of the Zhao family group internationally. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 511. Once the Zhao family team becomes famous, the Gan family will definitely not be able to contain her. Lily prepared for this opportunity for several months. She focused on practicing martial arts and internal strength every day, and spent some money to open up her joints so that she could have the opportunity to contact people from foreign embassies. During this period, the Zhao family team occasionally, he takes on some activities and maintains a tepid reputation. Lily is waiting for the opportunity, while secretly Ganlu is waiting for the opportunity to kill the Zhao family team. The Zhao family team has been very unlucky recently. First, there was an accident at the venue that Lily originally rented. The landlord was willing to pay her liquidated damages but also evicted the Zhao family team members. Then, the things purchased by the Zhao family team began to be out of stock. Next, a group of gangsters started to come over and wanted to collect protection money. and for some reason, there was no news from some businesses that had called Zhao Jiaban in the past to invite them to perform. The people in Zhao Jiaban were in a state of panic recently. Lily. I know that this is Ganlu doing little things behind his back. These endless tricks are completely the character of Ganlu, using small things to wear people to death. Now it seems that the results are not cheap. If Behi can't think of new ways, sooner or later the Zhao family ban will be unable to survive because of these things. Even if it is just barely maintained, no one invites them to perform and there is no condition to continue to gain popularity. Next, the Zhao family class will one day disband in disgrace and be forced to leave the capital just like before. Although I don't know why Ganlu's fiancé's words could make Ganlu hold a grudge and insist on killing Zhao Jiaban and Zhao Behi, but now, not to mention Ganlu's unwillingness to stop, she is willing to stop and no longer embarrass the Zhao family's team. Lily couldn't just let this matter go. And half a year later, after spending a lot of effort, she finally got an opportunity to meet with the consul of a foreign embassy in China. For this opportunity, the people in the Zhao family class did not take it seriously at first, and even the team. Some people here are very puzzled by Lily's insistence on contacting foreigners. After all, the Zhao family is in crisis at the moment. To some people, Lily doesn't want to solve this problem, but just wants to deal with others all day long. Which made some people in the team feel dissatisfied with Lily. Lily is also aware of the situation in the group. Someone in the Zhao family team must have been bribed by Ganlu just like he did to Zhao Shuer. Recently, the group has been divided into two factions. One group was still willing to stay with Lily, while others were instigated and began to think about splitting up. The Zhao family team had made some gains in the past few months because of their reputation, and some people were deeply afraid that they would never be together again. As time went on, even the initial profit was wiped out. Some people were afraid that the money would be swallowed up by Lily alone, so some people thought of dividing the money and returning to their hometowns. After receiving the news that she could meet with the people from the consulate today, Lily went back to the house and changed her clothes and was about to go out for the appointment. As soon as he came down the stairs, he was stopped by a group of people headed by Zhao Jinying. Sister. Zhao Jinying at this time is completely different from the image of the overwhelmed young man when Lily first entered the mission. He has seen the world in the imperial capital for more than a year. Because he has money, now after putting on a new suit, he looked completely different from the honest and simple young man before. At this time, he was followed by about 7 or 8 people from the Zhao family class. At this moment, everyone's eyes were averted, not daring to look at Lily's eyes. Zhao Jinying showed an embarrassed look on her face. After stopping Lily, he hesitated for a while before seeming to muster up the courage. There have been a lot of things happening in the team recently. Now we don't even have a training venue. It's not an option for everyone to drag it around like this. The venue originally rented by Zhao's class was taken back by the landlord after a lawsuit. Now a group of people are forced to move to another house, and they have not yet found a suitable venue for training. Lily knew that some people could lose their temper, but she didn't expect that these people would be so helpless. He even dragged Zhao Jinying to be the leader. Lily actually doesn't have much favorable impressions of some members of the Zhao family team. When the leader of the Zhao family class passed away, many people started clamoring to divide their property and go their separate ways. In the plot, after Zhao Beihi's accident, no one said a fair word to her. When the Zhao family was making money, everyone used her as the god of wealth. Now if something goes wrong, someone stirs up the trouble behind the scenes, and these people want to start dividing the property again. Lily can't help feeling worried about this. Feeling a little bored with the situation, when she heard Zhao Jinying's words, she straightened her clothes and asked directly. So what do you want? Zhao Jinying was a little embarrassed at first. After all, everyone in Zhao's class had left him, but Lily was the only one who stayed by his side. Now he was elected by everyone to discuss the money sharing with Lily. Originally, Zhao Jinying felt a little embarrassed, but he also thought that the people in the Zhao family were right. This Zhao family was originally his father's from the beginning, but now he was inexplicably taken over by Lily, and he, the authentic heir, now it's all about looking at other people's faces, so it's better to divide the Zhao family into different classes, lead a group of people to work alone, and then be your own boss, which is better than working as an errand boy under Lily. Zhao Jinying, a man, couldn't stand it when he thought that he was originally the prince of the Zhao family, but now he was nothing. Lily made the decision on everything. Zhao Jinying couldn't stand it. When he thought about it, he simply gritted his teeth and said cruelly, "We want to simply separate and live alone. After all, sister, you are tired of dragging such a big team. It is better for everyone to separate and live their own lives. We will still be friends when we meet again in the future." Lily saw the way his eyes were dodging, and saw the group of people following Zhao Jinying, and couldn't help but laugh. "Who else wants to leave? Please stand up together. I made a promise today that those who want to leave will now. I will take out the money I have now and share it equally with everyone. If you want to stay with me, you must sign a contract." As soon as she said this, many people who followed downstairs and heard the news hesitated. When they heard about the money, many people hesitated and stood next to Zhao Jinying. Zhao Jinying showed a surprised and unexpected smile on his face, but there were still a few people who thought that he could disband the acrobatic team from the beginning. At this point in time, she has not completely given up on her, and Lily has not treated everyone badly this year. Thinking of this, some people still stayed. Taking advantage of the fact that there was still some time before going out to meet with the people at the consulate, Lily simply divided the Zhao family team. Now the troupe has a total working capital of nearly 100,000 yuan left. The Zhao family team originally had more than 30 people, including these at one time. More than 20 people followed Zhao Jinying and left, leaving only about 10 people. After dividing most of the money out, Lily only had less than 30,000 yuan left in her hands. The situation suddenly returned to when she had just entered the mission. Time. After settling the matter here, Lily found a car and rushed to the consulate. As soon as she left, the people in the acrobatic troupe who followed Zhao Jinying hurriedly called Ganlu and heard that Lily really wanted to have a relationship with the foreigner. At this time, Ganlu on the other end of the phone laughed softly. This was the early stage of the development of China. Those who knew foreign languages were professionals. Now it is the time when all walks of life are in need. A man who has been in acrobatics classes since he was a child, the grown-up country bumpkin Ganlu, didn't believe that she could speak a foreign language, and she couldn't even speak a foreign language. So what if Lily just met someone from the consulate? Ignore her, she will be humiliated, and let her do whatever she wants. Now she thinks she has a chance, and she will be even more painful when she realizes her despair later. Ganlu sneered on the phone. Her voice was like a silver bell, but now there was a sense of cruelty. Originally, she didn't take Lily into consideration. At first, she wanted to deal with Zhao Lily just because she was in a bad mood and wanted to vent her anger. Ganlu herself was not from a good background, and her parents she is an ordinary farmer in a remote mountain village in China, but she has been very lucky in her life. Her adoptive father and stepmother's family were educated youths who went to the countryside in their early years, and they happened to live in her home. As a result, she and her parents became irreconcilable. At that time, when Ganlu's mother and adoptive mother were pregnant respectively, the two families had agreed that if they each gave birth to a boy and a girl, they would get married. Ganlu's mother gave birth to a daughter first, and then Ganlu's adoptive mother also gave birth to a daughter. She gave birth to a daughter, but it was a pity that this daughter was lost when she was less than 3 years old. Because Ganlu's adoptive father and adoptive mother missed their daughter, they finally adopted their friend's daughter as their adopted daughter. Ganlu also changed her surname to the Gan family. From then on, Ganlu's adoptive parents treated her like their own daughter, especially since the adoptive parents never gave birth to another child. The adoptive parents were qualified to return to the city within a few years of being educated youths. Later, their official career was smooth and they reached the position of mayor of the imperial capital. Ganlu, a little girl who was originally from the countryside, also rose in status and became the adopted daughter of the mayor. From then on the sparrow turned into a phoenix, and she turned from the mud on the ground into the clouds in the sky. Not only did she have power and money, but she also had a high-ranking fiancé. She didn't take Lily Zhao seriously at first, but when she heard that her fiancé had taken a fancy to a bumpkin from the countryside, Ganlu just felt very unhappy. Her father had engaged her in public, but her fiancé's family looked down on her. If it weren't for her adoptive father's reputation, the family would not have taken her seriously. Ganlu had been forcing herself to endure it before. She even felt that she wanted to make some achievements so that her fiancé's family would not dare to look down upon her. She used her adoptive father's connections to do business and learn skills, and tried hard to become a city citizen and wash away the country in her bones. She didn't expect that her fiancé, who looked down on her, who was originally from the countryside, would actually fall in love with a wild girl from the countryside. She felt very unbalanced. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come. P.S. First update. Girls join the group to grab red envelopes. I want to distribute red envelopes once a day in the Q group until New Year's Eve. The requirement to join the group is that everyone is required to watch the original version. It's a happy celebration. I will take the time to update a free extra chapter of Wrongly in the past 2 days. Girls who want to watch the original version and have fully subscribed to the group can join the group. Waiting for the news. When joining the group, please give me your nickname, which is your girl's name. Group ID, 239461614.